Dude,
And
I'm
so,
just, yeah.
yeah. So,
Well,
I did watch tape on everybody, obviously. I may
yeah,
not be
dude,
as
we're,
enthusiastic,
I'm
but
not, I'm not going to be very enthusiastic either.
oh, this is gonna be a good one.
I took a lease out on your heart. I took a lease out on your heart. Can I at least have fun? Can I at least have fun? Can I at least have fun?
Welcome back, everybody. We are Rough Draft Research. You are the audience, and together we are on a quest for Dynasty Domination. How's it going over there, Daniel?
Oh, couldn't be better. No, it could be better. Sick me, sick family, but we're getting through it. Yeah, but the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, and I
Hey,
was healthy for that.
yeah.
Did not make it more than 12 hours before hitting a fever
Oof.
after that Lombardi trophy came through, but I was happy to see it go that way.
Yeah.
Nicole Hardman, what the fuck? I'll take it every time.
They
But
can get traded halfway through the season and win the
what
Super Bowl.
what is
Not
this?
not like on the team, but literally win it. Like the game winning play. Like that's nuts.
Right. What about you, Christian, man? Did you enjoy that game at all?
Oh, I'm a bit of a bitter, jealous fan these days, so it wasn't the most interesting Super Bowl for me.
Right.
It was a great game. Well, it was a great fourth quarter. Let's all be real and calm
Yeah,
down about how
fourth and fifth
great.
quarters were pretty good.
Yeah, that was pretty good, but the rest of it was kind of meh. But I mean, it's crazy. The Chiefs dynasty is real. That like it's official, and Patrick Mahomes is incredible, really the only guy that like can compete with that Tom Brady status. Obviously, he's not quite there yet, but he's in the conversation, which I didn't think would happen so fast for a guy that was so head and shoulders above everybody else. So it's impressive. It's going to skew even more so to me because Tom Brady, I think, has ruined people's minds on how many Super Bowls somebody's supposed to win, and now Patrick Mahomes is just going to double down on that. And but it's impressive.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we'll see. I
Yeah.
think I always get a shirt, you got to get a shirt.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, where's the defensive shirts? Where are the defensive player shirts? Because
hmm
like that, let's be real about this defense, man.
Yeah, the defense saved that. That was what won you guys the Super Bowl this year. I mean, obviously Patrick Mahomes did his magic
Yeah, he
when
did enough to
necessary.
win the game for sure.
Yeah, but like the defense, just like it did all year, was
Just
the
kept them
true
in it.
story of the game. Like
Absolutely.
incredible.
So
But that's the past. That's
yeah,
the 2023 season. We're not here to talk about that shit no more. We're in
Singular.
2024. So let's keep moving forward with our rookie draft profile, setting you guys up for the March Madness rookie bracket that we're going to do in just a few weeks. It's getting crazy. I'm working on it now. We are super excited. So let's roll
Sir.
straight into it. I'm going to take the lead this week, and I haven't been doing wide receivers. Last week I did 3 running backs. I believe it was last week. Um, so I'm going to get into some receivers this week, and we're going to start off with Mr. Brian Thomas Jr. out of LSU. So we are out of the Senior Bowl, so these weights and heights are a little maybe, who knows? Sometimes they're way off, sometimes they're dead on the money. But he's listed at 6'4", 205. 1,000-yard season, 17 touchdowns, which was just a crazy number to see. But you can understand why. He has this really impressive size and speed combination. Like I said, he's listed at 6'4", and he's just hauling ass all over the field. I think he has a really good first step off the line. I think he wins a lot off the line because it's one of these like bang bang, and then I'm taking off. And if you slip up and aren't in front of him, and he'll just run by you. And he'll out physical you as well because he is big, like 205, 6'4". That's a big dude. He can get around you. Um, I do feel like a lot of the time, though, when he was open, it's because he got lost, not because he like was a crazy route runner and got awesome or got open. I don't think he's like an amazing route runner yet. I think he can be developed into something, but I just think right now, like he's not particularly like special in that area. I think in like an offense like San Francisco, where he's going to be schemed open, I think he could immediately come in and be successful and like just kind of dominate because that's what he did with LSU. It was these plays where he's wide open and then he's screaming across the field because he caught something and he's just got this athletic uh build and speed to him. But if he goes somewhere else, it's not that I think it'll be bad. I just think it might take a little longer for him. I don't think he'll be as immediate of a success because I look at other guys that were a bit raw, which is what I'm going to describe him as. And maybe I'm off. I only watched the 4 or 5 games, so we're still early on, but this is my initial takes. Um, I just feel like we've seen some of these guys recently that have had like all these traits that are meant to come out and be developed, and then they just kind of whatever. I mean, we got like Jamison Williams. I mean, it's still early for him. We had QJ, Quentin Johnson last year. Got guys like Denzel Mims, who were supposed to be these like athletic superstars that just never really went anywhere. And so that would be the like fear to me for a guy like Brian Thomas Jr. But we've also seen guys like that develop into really impressive stars. So it could go the other way. I just think him being a little more raw, in my opinion, would blend more like, okay, if he goes somewhere where I trust the offense, then let's go for it. But if he goes somewhere where I don't really know about how they develop players, then maybe this could end up being because this is a first round pick potentially, and especially a first round rookie pick. And so like it could end up being this frustrating, at least rookie season. But the traits are all there. Like he's got it. You know, he's big, fast, strong, moves well, catches the ball only 5 drops, on 87 targets, which isn't great, but it's not terrible. Another guy we're going to talk about later had 9. So, you know, um, but I do like him. It's just that rawness of him. I just felt like it was a lot of like these huge chunk plays that were basically him just screaming open.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it was so much fun to watch LSU, because I did Malik Nabers, so
Mhm.
I just watched a ton of LSU, and it was so much fun. But Brian Thomas, I mean, you nailed it. I love the length, dude. Like the
Mm.
catch radius, and just like he's just like a striding gazelle,
Mhm.
just like getting deep, quick, great separation, like you're saying, those first 2 steps. Is it was really just phenomenal to watch him. He just would go, go,
Mhm.
go, and he led all of college football with 17 touchdowns. So
Mhm.
I don't know, that was pretty cool. I'm excited about him. Um, I watched the Florida game, LSU Florida game, because I wanted to compare these 2 guys, Brian Thomas and Malik Nabers, and both of them had over 130 yards and over 20 yards per catch
Wow.
that game. Yeah, except Brian Thomas had 2 touchdowns, and Malik Nabers had 0. And I mean, a lot of it came from 4 red zone targets versus 0. And I think that catch radius and the contested catch ability that his size gives him lends him to be a really nice red zone target. The thing is, we've seen guys that are 6'5" a lot,
Mhm.
right around 200 pounds, 6'4", and they're not always like deep threat striders. Like the way
Mhm.
this guy uses his length to accelerate downfield and get that separation right in the onset of the route really makes him kind of a different animal, man. And I'm pretty excited about him. But I gotta say, I'm more excited about Malik Nabers, man. I'm just gonna get right into him because the difference on this guy was he is just a gritty,
Mm.
physical guy.
Mhm.
He's like a catch and run kind of dude, and it's amazing. But I gotta shout out LSU. More teams should put numbers on every 5 yard marker. You know what I mean? Yeah, most guys are, year 20, 30, 40.
Yeah.
No, they're like 35, 40, 45, 50. They got them all marked. And I think that's beautiful at LSU. So between that and your ball catchers, it's been a pleasure to watch a little bit of film with you guys. But yeah, Malik Nabers, 6'1", 188. He was the number 2 wide receiver in receiving yards at 1,569 this past year. It was his first real breakout season. Pretty quiet past 2 years, but that's all right. He did tie for third in touchdown numbers with 14. Missed tackles forced, like this one I'm telling you, with the yards after the catch, and just like being a bully kind of. He had 30 missed tackles
Oof.
forced, which was fourth, and yards per route run were 3.64, which was third. So so he's pretty good at football. Just saying. And yeah, I'm just like I'm trying to pick out everything I saw from the film. So I was just start at the beginning and tell you guys what I saw. But I just thought, his release off the line, definitely not as clean as Thomas. He's one of those guys that kind of can rock back, when the ball snapped, or do like he does a little bit of like a dribble drive kind of hop step setup before he launches. Which is I don't know. I don't typically love that, but it works for him, so I'm not gonna hate on him. One thing that I found with him is that I thought his route running was very smooth and executed very, very well, and it had a lot of diversity. So I think that his success and like getting open comes from his route running, not necessarily his release off the line of scrimmage. So it's like, oh, he's got a potential to improve that off the snap kind of stuff to even get even better. So I thought that was pretty cool. But at the catch point, solid body control, great hands, 22 contested catches. He brought in 10 of them, and that number is not like through the roof, but it's not bad. I'll take it for sure. Um, but like I say, the real star of his game is creating with the ball in his hands. That's where the magic happens, man. He is slick and dodgy after the catch. It's got 6.6 yards after the catch. But I'd like to do some math and get to the yards after contact, because a lot of it was pushing through tackles and just like getting feisty, the start stop and just the jukes he did. Honestly, feel for his shoelaces. They can't be having that much fun with all that happening to them. But I wouldn't want to be on the other side of this guy, because he's just electric. He gets after in that Florida game I was talking about. Brian Thomas over the top, the ball's going rainbow shots to the hands, bucket catches. It was beautiful. No, not for Malik Nabers. This dude was earning every yard, catching the ball, making 3 or 4 guys miss in a single play, getting that extra yards, getting that, the tackler is tackling him on the ground, and he's like, now I'm gonna jump out of your arms, get another 15 yards. It's amazing. So I don't think he's the most strong athletic guy, but he makes it work. He's powerful. And the thing that really sets me off about this guy is his versatility. So he had a 54%, 46% slot to wide ratio, like pretty much down the middle. And he did have enough speed to get open deep and run nice clean routes when he was out wide. But then he also, had the slants, the catch and run stuff out of the slot. And what blew me away about him was it looked like I was watching 2 different players, right? When he lined up in the slot, he was an expert slot guy. When he lined up out wide, he did great things out wide. It was the diversity and like the knowledge of the position to play 2 different roles effectively. Really blew me away about him. So I'm really really excited about this guy. I don't know if you can tell. He's
No,
pretty awesome.
I absolutely can, and you should be. I mean, yeah, he's awesome, man. I like that you highlighted his body control. I thought he really good job of playing along the sidelines, I thought. And he's just a prototypical like receiver these days, just like fast, strong, great route running, good hands, fights for the fights after the ball or fights after the catch for yards, like everything that you're talking about. He's just, I don't know, there's not a lot of complaints there. I mean, he just does exactly what you need him to do. That 3.6 yards per route run, that's crazy. I mean, we try to highlight that stat a lot. It seems like all the big dogs in the NFL, that's a stat that they want to lead in. I don't know if they want to lead in it, but it's a stat that they lead in.
They end up
And,
leading in, yeah.
yeah. And so like he's right up there with these guys, just complete wide receiver one for a team that was just popping off. 128 targets, 89 receptions. Like that's what you want to see. He's a pure wide receiver one, packaged ready. Whoever signs him or whoever drafts him is gonna get that guy. And I think you should be excited about him. I think like as opposed to Thomas, where I said like he may take a little longer. Um, Neighbors is a guy I think can come in and like be a contender for like offensive rookie of the year. I know we got great quarterbacks coming in and obviously Marvin Harrison Jr. So it'd be tough for him to win that award, but I think he'll have a good rookie season is what I'm saying. I like him a lot.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Nabers at the same time right now. One of these days I will be ready. That'll be a nice conversation,
All
maybe in
right.
the tournament. I'm
That'll
not
be fun.
prepared. I don't have my notes for that, but I think
It's
it's
gonna
going to
be
be a good one.
I think so too. So let's stay in the wide receiver room, and let's go to Troy Franklin up here from the Pacific Northwest out of Oregon. Well, I don't know if he's from here, but that's where he plays. 6'3", 187 is what he's listed at. So tall, but a little lanky. 1,383 yards this season, 14 touchdowns on 114 targets. So, again, like we were just talking about Neighbors, this is a guy that was the wide receiver one on his team. 3.32 yards per route run. I don't know where he ranks fully, but we know that Neighbors was at third at 3.6, so he's not that far behind him. Um, I liked it, man. I liked his game. I think kind of similar to Thomas. I think there's like he's a bit more raw, but I think he accelerates super well. He just like will take off on a dime, and he takes off the line, and it makes him really effective on these screen plays that they like to run with him. I think he's a good route runner. He has a few different ways to get open. He's got really good footwork, I think, and release. Um, I just think so. I don't think they're him and Brian Thomas are similar in like play style necessarily, but they have similar strengths in the fact that they like are both big and both fast. Obviously, Thomas has a little bit more weight to him, whereas Franklin is a little thinner. But I think in terms of where I rank them, I think they're really, really close. I think personally, I might put Franklin over Thomas right now, but I'm super early in and we are where we're at. But Thomas obviously has the size on him, but I just think Franklin can do more to get open, like get himself open, whereas Thomas is schemed. It seemed to be schemed open, and like he was using that athletic speed and stuff to just run those plays and be wide open and then just kind of continue to play. Whereas Franklin, I felt like had to do a little bit more work more often to get open. I think they both need a little time to develop, but they both have the size and speed to be able to crush you. And I think Franklin has a quicker route to being a one, but they both could be like really good twos right off rip. I just think Franklin has obviously kind of been that guy. He did have 9 drops this season, which is a little worrisome. From what I could see, from what I've seen, most of the drops that I saw were contested for whatever that's worth. He's not just dropping open passes, but again, haven't watched all his stuff yet. But I think there's a lot to like from him. These two guys, I think, could end up being really good value in the middle rounds. I think Franklin's a little more landing spot proof than Thomas, at least in my opinion. Just because I think his ability to get open and kind of use his size, at least length, to expand the catch radius is really nice. And so, yeah, I like him a lot. I don't know like where he's going to end up falling. That's going to be interesting, but it's just such a super deep wide receiver class. It's going to be
Yeah.
great. A lot of these guys could end up being like ones that you're going to get at the later round or later in the first round so of your rookie draft. So it's really interesting. I'm excited to hear what you think about this guy. You're more the wide receiver guru than me.
Yeah, no, thank you. So true. Um, and now I watched extra on this guy because I didn't know what I was seeing. Because like you're saying, he's very fast. He's extremely fast. And he's he stays busy.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? He stays
Mhm.
busy on the field. He gets open. He fights through plays to make himself open, and I love it. I love when I see that. Yeah, every game I watched, there was like a bonehead drop. I'd say
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
like
So I just didn't see
maybe.
him yet.
Well, yeah, I don't know. It was the Utah game really got me in the Washington game, but it doesn't matter. He's playing with Bo Nix, man. It should have been. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But I really liked watching him. I thought that his go route was amazing, right?
Mm,
He
mm,
found a way to get open. The rest of his routes, I like that he was running them. They seemed like they could get cleaned up a little bit.
mhm,
Like he could probably do more to get some more separation through some of those other routes. But when he's running straight, or if he's squirreling around after the top of a route, it's really
mhm.
good. So I think he has some potential to develop. Man, it is. I do like Brian Thomas more, but
Okay.
it's like really close. I think
Mhm.
the 170 really scared me on that. Or what do you have his weight at?
So I think it was 187. That's what
Okay,
PFF's website has him at.
nice.
But again, who knows?
Yeah, I'm on Sports Reference. And they put him at 170, and that just freaks me out.
Okay, that's
So,
yeah, that's I mean that's like Devonta Smith. You got another Slim Reaper
right.
coming in here. It can work, but it is a little more worrisome. So that'll be
But no,
really
I liked
interesting
him,
at the
man.
combine.
Yeah, I think he could be a beast, really. I do
Hmm.
think he's one of those guys that is going to take a minute, though, for sure.
Yeah, I think so too. But he's like you're saying, he just fights. He has that attitude of a wide receiver one where he just
He
like
jumped
wants the
off the
ball.
screen, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Like watching Brian Thomas is like nothing. It wasn't that exciting. It was just kind of like fun. But
Yeah.
like watching Troy Franklin was like, oh shit, this like
Hmm.
this guy is the offense right here.
Yeah,
It was
100%.
awesome.
Yeah. Well, I
Ooh,
think you got some
oh
running backs
gosh.
coming up, huh?
I gotta talk now. Oh man, I feel like I just was talking. Yeah, I got two running backs, man. So I'll start with Will Shipley.
Hmm.
So he is running back for Clemson, and both my running backs were like true freshmen kind of phenoms, like hit the
Hmm.
ground running. And that's nice because that means that they're young still, right? Will
Hmm.
Shipley, he's a four-star recruit coming out. He's like the fourth running back in his class, and he gets into Clemson. Um, he was doing good things. He's only 21 now.
Mm.
So you like to see that, especially these days. There
Hmm.
was like the COVID year, and now with all the NIL money or whatever, it's like
Yeah.
people are just in there for, you're gonna have 35-year-old guys declaring for the draft pretty soon. Um, but yeah, this dude, he's like just on the edge of being slim for the position. I got him right at like 200 pounds,
Hmm.
5'11. So that's a little tall for 200, but we'll take it because he turned that size into shiftiness, man.
Hmm.
And it's really his whole game is like the great open field ability to make guys miss. I think he's fast and he can get where he wants to be. He's got a ton of plays where he's like, squeaks past a defender and gets just past the first down marker or narrowly escapes a tackle to score right at the pylon. Like he's squirrely and he knows where he's going. He's not a power back. Like he'll get swallowed up on an inside line, inside run pretty regularly. But it's kind of interesting. He knows it, right? He knows it about himself, so
Hmm.
he's more likely to like dive into a gap than run into a gap. He's
Gotcha.
he's one of those kind of guys. But if he does get through clean, like if there's a delay or the play just develops a little bit to where the hole develops, he can really make something happen, man. So he's got some strength, especially when he's up at full speed. He really guys will just bounce off of him.
Hmm.
So he's got good contact balance and enough power to push a crappy tackle off, which is most likely what you're going to end up with because the way he squirrels around and is kind of swift, guys don't really get to square up on him. So he can deflect that kind of a tackler pretty easily. But yeah, this is not a guy where like PFF or the stats are going to light up. You're not going to find him in the top whatever of anything really. Um, but I got to tell you, he was the main guy for Clemson for 2 whole years. And there's nothing wrong with that. And then this past year, he had some some internal competition. It's ironically a guy that had been on the team just as long as him just really stepped it up. But they split carries or split touches opportunities pretty much 50-50, and he still managed over 1,000 yards from scrimmage and 7 touchdowns. So it was a little bit of a down year compared to 1,400 yards and 15 last year, and then as that true freshman year was 850 and 11. So I got to tell you, man, it's really the open field running for me that gets me excited about him, and that's pretty much what you get from a guy that catches the ball a lot.
Hmm.
And I got to tell you, man, over these 3 years, he's had 104 targets with 84 catches, but he's ran over 600 routes in those 3 years. So he is very
Hmm.
well seasoned as a pass catcher, really good route tree for a running back. And so I really like him for that reason. He doesn't have a great pass blocking grade or like doesn't really look very good at it, but he's pretty much always running routes on passing downs anyways.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like it's hard to expect him to be a great pass catcher, but then also a great pass blocker. Like you got to
Hmm.
do one or
One or
the
the
other.
other.
Mhm. But he's definitely not an every down kind of guy. But I think he'll excel as a pass catcher at the next level. It's going to be like a day 3 guy.
Hmm.
I'm saying like he's probably going to be a stash for you, in fantasy, not a guy to get excited about. You're not going to be like, a year 1 starter right here. It's a guy where he's going to probably have to earn his role on a team. But
Hmm.
I think that he's flashy and like slick as fuck and can catch the ball. So he's got an opportunity to make something happen at the next level.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. He's definitely like a really actually the first note I have is that he runs a lot of routes. So it's I'm glad you counted that for me. I was right. Yeah, it was a lot. He's a dual threat guy, like you're saying. He just is a do-it-all kind of kid, but I'm with you. I think he starts probably as a rotational guy at first, but I do think he could be a workhorse for a couple seasons for you. I don't know if he'll have some like crazy long NFL Hall of Fame running back career or nothing like that, but like could have like a really consistent, like productive career in the NFL, I think. Because you're right, he just kind of does everything right. He's squirrely enough to get open or squirrely enough to get away from you. He runs routes really well as open. He catches the ball, doesn't put it on the ground very often, like just does everything you need him to do. I don't know that the ceiling is like crazy, crazy high or anything like that, kind of like what you're saying. But I do think if you stash him, honestly, somewhere like Green Bay is interesting. I know like I'm obviously a Packers fan and that might sound a little biased, but like I think they're going to be drafting a running back this year, and they like the guys that are able to do the dual threat. I mean, look at Aaron Jones. He's getting older. AJ Dillon's outside of contract. I could see Shipley being like a guy maybe they would bring in as a depth piece, but then as moving into him next year or something like that. So I think it'll be interesting. I think he'll definitely earn a spot and like definitely have a few seasons, I think, where he could be like pretty consistent for you. Uh, but it'll be about where he lands and kind of just how long it's going to take him to get playing time. But yeah, he's a good player. I like him a lot.
Hell yeah.
Let's keep it in the running back room. For the next two here then. Let's get a little bigger, a little more powerful though. Let's go Trey Benson out of Florida State. Listed at 6'1", 223 pounds. Um, Almost 1,000 yards on the ground, 1,000 all-purpose yards, but 15 total touchdowns, 45 missed tackles for us, which is pretty good for a bigger guy. He's just a big, powerful runner, man. He's like a truck. Like if he gets going, it may take him a little bit longer than some other guys to get to that top speed. But once he gets to that top speed, oh fuck, it's gonna be hard to bring him down. Like it honestly, and I don't want to make this comparison because everybody's gonna freak out. But it looks a lot like Derrick Henry when he's running away from people, where it's just this huge, massive dude that's way faster than he should be once he hits that top speed because nobody's catching him. It's like he took friggin' two long call home run balls against Virginia Tech where the safeties and corners couldn't catch him as he's screaming up the sideline. Dropped a bomb on them, 200 over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. And like that's his game kind of. He's like that home run hitter, just absolute because of that. I think that top end speed change like confuses people and people will bounce off of him once he gets going. The problem is he gets bottled up quite a bit. This year, only one game over 100 yards. It was that Virginia Tech game that I just mentioned. He went for 10 for 26 against Duke, 7 for 25 against Clemson, 6 for 22 against Miami, and 12 for 38 against Boston College, which are all like not great. That's like 3 yards a carry or less. And I don't know. It's hard to figure it out because, like, again, he has that home run ability, but I don't think he's like super elusive in the terms of like if you kind of get him and wrap him up and slow him down before he gets going, then he can kind of fall. And we see that with like Derrick Henry in the NFL sometimes, and it doesn't happen very often, but that's how like you stop him from getting going, and then it kind of doesn't hit the same. But I do think he's like obviously a touchdown weapon. He had 4 games with multiple touchdowns this season. I had 2 different games where he had 3. I think he has good burst through the hole. Like not necessarily the acceleration, but like he sees it and hits it. He's very decisive. And then once he gets to that top speed, so if he comes out of that hole and he's gotten a few steps through it, then he kind of pops out really quick. I don't know. It's not as fast as other guys necessarily, but again, that top end speed is home run speed every day. Um, the vision is okay. I think there was a play against Florida where I kind of stopped it and rewound it a couple times because I was like, what am I missing? Because he did this like outside. It was like the first play that he got the ball. It was like the outside run. We're going massive hole, and then like 7, 8, 9, 10 yards, then the safety. He kind of like was at that hole and then kept trying to stretch it out for some reason. And I don't know if he didn't see it or if he was scared of the safety, but that was a 6 or 7 yard run if the safety tackles him, which is a big if for a guy that's 6'1", 223 pounds running at you with a safety coming down. But instead, he bounced it outside and it ended up being like a 10-yard loss because he danced around and tried to run around and like ended up actually almost getting tackled by the same safety that was coming through the hole. So like that was really weird. And I didn't love that. But again, you make mistakes. You got to learn. He's a younger kid. It is what it is. I just didn't think the vision isn't quite as good as some of these other guys, but absolute home run hitter, like crazy, crazy home run ability. It's really, really fun to watch. It just sometimes you're gonna get those 1 yard, 2 yard, 4 yard carries, and then all of a sudden he's going for 20 or 30. But it's a lot of fun. It's hard to kind of envision where he fits in, other than like a power game and a goal line back right now or at first. I don't know that he's like a 4 or 3 down guy. Maybe he could be. I'm interested to see where he goes. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good good feeling to have. I don't know, man. I really liked him, you know.
Yeah.
Especially like I did Will Shipley and then about to get into my other running back, but after watching a ton of film on those guys, I watched this guy and I was like, I just wrote, I was like, oh, a true classic back right here.
Yeah, I
Like
think I think of the three guys we talk about today, he's the best.
for
For
sure, for
sure. Like
sure.
that's
Oh
not
yeah.
like don't get it twisted. But sorry, I'll let you continue.
Well, it was just like it was just refreshing to see a
Mm,
guy that was like a classic running back. You know, I thought he
hmm.
had pretty solid vision,
Okay.
and I liked his cuts. The thing I really liked about him, especially being that tall, is his pad level.
Mm,
Like he kept his center of gravity low,
hmm.
like a good running back would, and he can flash through clean holes and just vanish, man.
Hmm.
But he also, you know, I watched the pit game twice for him, and it was like, yeah, a couple no gain 1 yarders,
Hmm.
but then like when he really had something set up or if he was really sure of what he was about to do, it got nasty fast.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
And
You can tell when he knows what he wants to do. It's different. He is just
right.
charging forward and it's I wouldn't want to try to tackle him, that's for sure.
So I thought it was pretty cool, man. I
Hmm.
didn't know he weighed that much. I'm getting shortchanged by
Well,
the sports
again,
reference
who
here.
knows? I feel like PFF, I used PFF just because it was easier to the stats and the weight were in one place. And so I just did it. And I haven't been using sports reference because I want that after contact and the yards per route run and stuff. So it's just easier for
Yeah,
me. But
I'm
I,
a sucker for the game logs, man,
oh,
and
that's
the
fair.
team stats. It's way easier to get to on sports reference, but
That is
they got
true.
him at 211.
They got him at 211. Damn. He does look bigger than that to me. But who knows? I mean, I do feel like PFF is a little off. They just kind of, I think they get just whatever Google
Straight
says,
off the program.
which
Yeah.
is what I do a lot of times. So we'll see where he lands right there. But I do like him a lot. I hope I didn't. I think he's like arguably the RB1 of the class that I've watched so far. Obviously, calm down. I haven't gotten into Jonathan Brooks or deep diving into Quorum yet. So don't come out with your
Jesus.
pitchforks. But
How old is that guy?
yeah, he does. He
Yeah.
has been here for a minute, huh?
Yeah. Well, oh well, we'll figure it out.
Anyway, you wanna round us up?
Yeah, yeah, we're talking about old people. I got the anti-old. This guy has to be the youngest guy in this class. I don't really know. I'm going with Braelon Allen, man,
Mm,
the Wisconsin Badger running
mm,
back. And yes, as I mentioned with Will Shipley, he also played and started as a true freshman. And at that time, he was 17. And now he has turned 20. Last month he turned 20. So
mm.
he's going to be 20 for the whole rookie season.
Let's
It's going to be
go.
great for him. So yeah, he's holding down the youth boat. No big deal. We keep talking about size, big guys.
Hmm.
He's being listed as a 6'2" and 245 in the program. So he looks every bit of it. Like this
Yeah.
guy is, he's huge, he's gigantic. But yeah, personally, I've been following him for all 3 years of his career. You know, after Jonathan Taylor exploded out of Wisconsin, I just kind of gravitated towards them to see, you know, if they could keep that running back gold mine producing. And so I was very intrigued by it when I saw a young kid this big out there playing running back. So I've been watching him for a while, and yeah, I think he's awesome, but I don't think he's nowhere near a complete package
Mm.
that some of these previous Badgers or some of these other guys in this class are. And I'm just gonna walk through my opinion about him. So for starters, um, he's a lot of room to improve as a pass catcher. He's only he has 28 catches this past year. I will tell you there were 30 targets there, so he only
Mm.
missed two of them. but it's kind of a low number. It was much lower than that the previous years, like 10 or
Mm.
so. So he doesn't have a lot. Um, and he kind of like cradle catches from a standstill and then takes off. It's not really catching things in stride.
Mm.
It all added up to like a 4.7 yards per catch in 2023. So it's not really that's not really awesome. But only one of those two misses was deemed a drop. I don't know if that's even a good thing. Um, but yeah, another thing that needs some improvement is 9 fumbles over 3 years.
Mm.
You don't like that. I don't like that. I was watching the film on the Ohio State game, which was back-to-back possessions with fumbles last year, and that was just
It's
wasn't
tough.
great, man. Um, but yeah, the production has been there. He missed a little bit of time this last year with a high ankle sprain, but over 3 years, this was the first year that kept him. That injury kept him under 1,000 yards for the first time in 3 years. So I'm just going to give you the grand totals for his college career: 3 years, 3,500 yards, 5.9 per carry, and 35 touchdowns,
Woof.
evenly split as 12, 11, and 12 again. So he's been playing football for sure. Um, but it's just it's a tell of like two guys, like his strengths and his weaknesses. And his strengths are good enough to compensate for his weaknesses, but they both exist. And they match up pretty well. Like I don't think he has great bursts, honestly. I didn't really see a lot of burst out of him, but I do think he has excellent power.
Mm.
So I don't know how those things have not really added up to combine, but he's extremely powerful with that weight behind him, and he
Hmm.
moves pretty quick. But the burst through the hole, not really 100% there. I think his vision needs a lot of work, which is kind of funny because he does have some patience
Yeah.
when he gets handed the ball, and he definitely has some lateral agility. He can make some cuts. He can weave pretty well in the open field, but he's not putting the two together. Um, so really, his takeoff needs some love. But he's able to overcome these traits with each other. So that's nice. I say there's some speed, like he's kind of like a runaway freight train down the field, but he doesn't have like short area speeds, to kind of juke a guy or whatever. He can weave pretty well, but he's not just like starting and stopping at all. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So so there's that. But man, I'm telling you, obviously he's powerful. That much mass going. It's like a bowling ball, just like knocking people out of the way. Contact is a joke for him. But he's 6'2".
Mm.
And if he gets stood up, it's all over, man. And it doesn't matter if it's at the line or if it's downfield. If he gets stood up, he loses his leverage, he loses his momentum. And it's kind of a bummer because it's like he has so much going for him, but he's being held back by the areas that he needs to improve. So I don't know. You never know with a guy like this. Has he had success because he has those high, compensation traits? And does he lean into him too much? Is he able to learn? I honestly think you get him in the right kind of coaching atmosphere, and he can probably round out some of those other things and produce at a high level. At the very least, he's going to get play as a goal line
Big
back,
time. Yeah.
and so I think he's one of those guys that you go after. He's probably going to be a late first rounder if he gets any decent draft capital. That's kind of my opinion. Maybe early second rounder, but he's one of those guys where I'm like just gonna troll whoever drafts him because I feel like he's gonna have a disappointing rookie year,
Hmm.
and then I just want to scoop him up, take him off your roster. That way, when he hits the ground running after having like a full off season, a full whatever, he's no longer got the rookie adjustment. I
Hmm.
think he's going to be a player. I think he's just, I mean, he's only 20 years old.
Yeah.
So if he takes that first year as a learning year, I'm willing to let him camp out on my bench if you know, or take him off of your bench if you need me to. But he's a player I've been excited about for a long time, and I don't know. That's everything I have to say about him, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. You can tell you've been following him for a while. Huge bruiser, just can completely wear you down and break you apart on defense in certain weeks. But I agree, he's patient, but like maybe not decisive. Like,
Yeah,
like maybe it's almost maybe too patient, where he's like needs this long runway or something. I don't want to speak for the guy. Obviously, I have no idea, but
sure.
that's just like watching it. That's how it feels. But but I do think there's a lot there to like. I mean, we've seen big guys like this succeed in the NFL, like obviously Derrick Henry, and then we've got Brandon Jacobs, guys like that were just massive trucks that would throw you out of the way. And we could absolutely see that again with a guy like Braelon Allen. It's going to be interesting where he lands. This running back class is just super interesting. I don't know who's going to go first, where they're going to go. Like, I really don't know at all. And the free agent running back market for the NFL is pretty crazy too. Like, it's pretty, who knows what's going to happen with this, but he is a name I'm going to watch. I've been doing mock drafts recently, and most of the mocks have no running backs in the first round of the rookie draft. I don't know if we could pull that
That's
off and for the bell.
BS.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
probably not going to happen, but I see where I agree. That's kind of where he's going to go, is late into the first or early second. So it's going to be really interesting to see where he lands. Honestly, I know I just said it for Shipley, but maybe they don't want to replace Aaron Jones and they want to replace AJ Dillon in Green Bay, and maybe this is the guy they bring in to kind of exactly be that role that AJ Dillon was. So I don't know. There's just a lot of teams that could use a power guy like this, and I think some will use him more than others, obviously. So, but there you have it. You got anything else for us?
No, dude, I could see we gotta have a speculation episode. We pick some landing spots for these guys
Yeah, that'd
eventually.
be fun. Yeah.
Do our own fantasy
Mock.
NFL mock draft.
There we go. That'd be fun. Alrighty. Well, if you like what you've been listening to and you like our roundups, please like, share, subscribe, and join us as we move into March and start doing our rookie bracket. It's going to be a lot of fun this year. So, but until then, we've been Rough Draft Research. You've been the audience, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.
I took a lease out on your